the same opposable thumbs, we both have the same power. Only those guys, when they saw a 22-year-old girl, they said, unripe. And when they saw a 50-year-old woman, they said, whoop-de-doo, let me at her. Whereas we, pigs that we are, look at the 22-year-old girl much differently than the 50-year-old woman. Who would win out in the biological, war? The war to have more progeny. Well, obviously, we'd win out because 50-year-old women, no matter how beautiful, can't have children, whereas 25-year-old women will. So we are hardwired. Why? Because it meant survival a million years ago when we were in the trees or whatever. Let me now bring this to closer to our concerns. Why are we so few libertarians? Now look, there are two ways that we can help each other survive. There are two ways that our tribe can beat the other tribe, the one that doesn't exist anymore, this theoretical tribe I'm creating. One way is benevolence. I help you this week, you're sick. You help me next week, when I'm sick, our tribe survives. Benevolence is good, charity, help. The other tribe, you're sick, tough on you, you die, and that tribe has a comparative disadvantage vis-a-vis our tribe. So benevolence is very good, and we are hardwired for benevolence. We see somebody, a crying baby, or a person who's sick, and our heart goes out to them, and we want to help them. And this applies not to just us few libertarians, but to pretty much everyone except the sociopaths. Fine. But 98% of the people have benevolence. We're hardwired for it because our tribe benefited from it. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't still be here. And benevolence works well in small groups. When we were in the trees or in the caves, we had a tribe of 25 people, 50 people, 100 people was probably big. Everyone knew everyone was benevolent, everything was fine. But there's another way that we can help each other now, and it's not a direct way of benevolence, it's indirect through the market. Are we hardwired for that? Not really, because in the Dengar days of a million years ago, you didn't have markets. You didn't have the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. You didn't have the New York Stock Exchange. You didn't have buying and selling. Well, I'm getting a little ahead of my story. We're much more hardwired for benevolence than the other. Let me give you two examples of this. One of them is every time I get a new freshman class, they come in and price gouging is evil and profit making is evil and business is evil and all they're into is benevolence and charity. And how will the poor survive if we privatize anything? That's what they're into. They got that from high school because their high school teachers are also into this socio-biological hardwiring toward dirigisme, if I'm pronouncing that right, bad socialism. And what I do is I give them a Hazlitt book, I give them Atlas Shrugged, I try to get this out of them if I can, but it's a hard struggle. Another example, I teach at Loyola University, New Orleans, and we had Katrina in 2005, I think it was. And what happened during Katrina? What happened was the prices of flashlight batteries, candles, milk, baby diapers, gasoline, catapulted through the roof. They just rose very high because we still needed these things, but they were no longer coming in because of Katrina. The traffic was impossible. Now, we know as economists that higher prices have two beneficial effects. One is they call forth stuff, ice, milk, orange juice, whatever, baby diapers, from Texas, from Kentucky, from Michigan, from everywhere else. Why? Because they can make a profit. If the prices are triple in New Orleans, why sell it in Oklahoma when you can bring it down here to New Orleans for a couple $100 and make a couple of $1,000? FEMA stopped them. That's a whole other story. But one of the motivations to help us was greed, making a profit. The other was benevolence. And I say that when people in New Orleans are in trouble, what you want to do is mobilize all human emotions, all human psychology to help us. One is benevolence, and the other is greed, and let's get them both working. One benefit is when the price goes high, it kicks in with the greed. People, entrepreneurs from elsewhere come down and help us. The second one is, in a sort of egalitarian way, look, if the prices, you go to Walmart and the prices are the old low prices, the first people in line just grab up all the water. But if the water instead of 99 cents is $10, then you're not going to grab up all the water you can get. You're going to be more reasonable. You're going to allow the people at the back of the line to get some of the water, or the orange juice, or whatever is in short supply. So the price rises have two benevolent effects. On the supply side, they bring in more supply, and on the demand side, they encourage people to share it out a little bit so everybody gets some. But that's economics. Now, that's not sociobiology. That's a very technical kind of a thing. Most people don't understand that. Most people say it's gouging. And the governor of Louisiana said that when prices rose, that she's going to throw the gougers in jail, and everyone applauded her. Let me give you one more case. There was a truck. Some kids came down from, I don't know where it was, maybe Indiana. And they had a whole truck full of ice bags. And ordinarily an ice bag is what, 99 cents? They were selling for $25 each. And there was a whole lineup of people waiting to get their ice bag for 25 bucks or 50 bucks, some very, very high, gouging, unconscionable price. From this, we as economists can deduce that they value the ice more than the 50 bucks, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be online to get it. And we certainly know that the people selling it value the 50 bucks more than the ice. So there was a mutual benefit. So what happens? Somebody with a, what do you call those phones? Cell phone, gets online, he's online, by being online, he demonstrates that he values the ice more than 50 bucks. He calls the cops come in and they shut it down and everybody online applauds. You know, they say there are no contradictions in nature. This is a contradiction. Why did this happen? Because they're hardwired against commerce. That's why it's like the, what do you call it, the Sisyphus thing? The guy rolls the ball up the mountain and it keeps coming down. That's why we keep talking about liberty. That's why we have Mises and Rothbard and Doug Casey and Rick Rule and Stefan Molyneux, who I admire greatly for his work on anarchism. I'm a big fan of his in other ways, not when he attacks Ron Paul, but in other ways. And it's true. I have him on my list when anyone asks me about anarchism, I give him a list of 15 articles, and one of them is one of his lectures. But why is it that we talk to we're blue in the face and we get nowhere? Because people are hardwired against what we're saying. Now there is a complication. I gave this talk to a colleague of mine. He said, but we found. Colleague in anthropology or something, we found caveman places where there were like a tribe of 50 people and there were 3,000 pots. And we found another tribe of people where there were 3,000 spears, and another tribe of people of 50 people where there were 3,000 fishing hooks or something, which indicates trade. And the answer to that is, yes, we have some implications of trade, but that was only 10,000, 15,000 years ago. But as what do you call it, mammals never traded, but they had benevolence. The mother deer takes care of the baby deer, right? Mammals, not the cold-blooded creatures. So what we're coming up with this article, we're going to write about all this. The point is, yes, we might have some little bit of hardwiring for free enterprise as well, because people did trade, but that was only 10,000 years ago. But if you go back millions and millions of years ago to when we were mammals, we're much more hardwired for benevolence. Okay, so every once in a while, a genius, a Mozart, a Rothbard comes along and rallies the troops. And I gave you two examples. One was Ayn Rand, and the other was my man Ron Paul. In 2009, before Ron Paul was Ron Paul, I invited him to Loyola and he spoke. I asked him how long he'd speak for. He said, oh, a half hour. He spoke for an hour and 10 minutes with no notes. And he talked about three things. He talked about foreign policy. He talked about how can you call it defense when you have 800 or 900 military bases in 130 different countries, and you call that defense? You know, we just had this NBA basketball between Miami and Kansas City. And whenever the team played in the hostile audience, what do the fans yell? Defense, defense. They can distinguish defense and offense because when the other team's got the ball, you're on defense. distinguish that